gods. Chuck,
Hey.
can you before we go on a little bit, can you go ahead and tell the audience what we like to tell them?
Oh, yes. Well, what we like to tell you around about this time, like, subscribe, click the little buttons down there, ring that bell for notifications. That way you always know when we got new videos coming
Yeah,
up.
algorithms will
And
not
just
bump us up because we don't have enough subscribers. So you
we
need that
like you
bell.
subscribing. We like you watching the video. We like you commenting on the video.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Agree with us? Tell us. Disagree with us? Tell us. Want to
Shut
get
up.
in a fight with us? Come on.
Bring it. Bring the noise.
Well, maybe
except when we want to sell you our books and stuff. Then
maybe politely disagree with us.
Yeah,
We
always
can have
politely.
yeah, like
agree
it's
with
we
cool,
can have
man.
a discourse.
No
We can have a
problem.
discourse rather than a brawl.
Our comment
Yeah.
section was overwhelmed with love for Justin's review of The Quiet Earth. I wanted to point
Nice.
that out. I
Oh
was
well.
very gratified.
Yeah, I must have a look at that. Yeah, I saw.
You did.
I
You
saw a
commented.
few. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
great.
Maybe they're Kiwis. I don't
No,
know.
actually, I know all. Well, I know Tim McLean, friend of the show. He's always got something to say. But Eric and that other cat, yeah. I mean, you just hit a nerve because they're movies. Oh, and Dwayne commented too. That was Dwayne,
Yeah,
our producer.
it's a cool film actually. Yeah. So yeah.
It is. I
I'm
have
glad
it
I
in
watched
my bookmarks on Tubi. I found out the other day because I don't know if I'd finished watching it when I watched it, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and revisit it. So
Yeah.
Keith is going to talk about a seminal crime film, Ere This Night Doth Wane. So when you're the floor, bro.
All right. Okay, my movie is Point Blank. And as usual, I want to know who all has seen it. Everybody or nobody? Henry?
I've seen it a bunch of times.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Point Blank. It was it's a 1967 movie. Let me give you this cast because the cast is off the chain. Lee Marvin stars as the titular Walker. Okay, the Point Blank, and Walker is the star. And then you've got Angie Dickinson, Keenan Wynn, Carol O'Connor, Lloyd Bachner. I mean, it's just full of character actors. Michael Strong, and it introduces the world to John Vernon and Sharon Acker. James B. Sicking, who just left us, last month, is in here. I think it was his first credited role.
Sicking, yeah, he's a hitman.
Yeah, he's
a hitman.
Yeah, he's a hitman. And didn't even have the B in his name yet in the credits. So it's just chock full of like great character actors in here. So Lee and Angie, and then a whole bunch of great character actors. I mean, and we even got Star Trek connections. Michael Strong is known as Roger Corby, first season of Star Trek.
Oh.
Sharon Acker was in the Mark of Gideon, third season.
Oh wow,
of Star Trek.
Probably why I thought they were familiar from Star Trek.
Yeah, Lloyd Bachner is in everything.
Lloyd Bachner was in Dynasty in the 80s.
Yeah,
Everybody knows him.
Cecil Colby in Dynasty. One of the great moments in television history is his heart attack while he's having sex with what's her face, Joan Collins. Is one of the best.
I could see that happening.
Oh yeah, she's on top of him. He starts stroking out, and she starts smacking him. It's great. I mean, Lloyd Bachner, he's great. He was a C.C. Capwell for a while at Santa Barbara.
That's right. He was the original one, wasn't he?
I believe he's the one who originated.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Wow.
And but didn't stick around very long. Turned out daytime soap was not his.
Jed Allen rocked on Santa Barbara.
It took him a while to get to him, but yeah, he was the
soap
guy.
opera fans unite. Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway, John Vernon, of course, great, long running character.
The aliens are getting us again.
And from Animal House, and
tell them what John Vernon did just prior to this movie, though, which has a connection to one of our hobbies and that we talk about a lot.
Okay, you're gonna have to give that one to me because I don't know it.
So John Vernon was a regular on the Marvel Superheroes cartoon. He did 3 characters. He did Glenn Talbot on the Hulk. He did Tony Stark / Iron Man. And he did Prince Namor Submariner.
Holy hell!
That was in '66, so this is before he did his first film. But he's from Canada, but that was his first work in America that I've read about. So we grew up hearing his voice because he's just got
Without
that
even knowing
distinctive
it.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah. But
was John Vernon
makes
Dean
sense.
Wormer in
yes, he
Animal
was.
House?
He
Yeah.
was Dean
That's how he got
Wormer.
really
And
famous.
he
Yeah.
was the Submariner. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, I know him a lot
0.0.
from the Sweet movie. He played Aristotle Aplin, and his scenes in that are like he probably scrubbed that thing off his resume. I love the movie, but it's not for everybody.
I'm trying to remember, but I think he maybe played Rupert Thorne on the Batman animated series also?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
he did that.
He went
So
with-
yeah. So anyway, just like I said, it's just a great cast. Lots of great recognizable faces, and it's a pretty concise cast that way. Okay, the lead character of Walker. It helps maybe to know that this is actually an adaptation of The Hunter. Okay, Don Westlake's book. Anybody familiar with Don Westlake and his Parker novels?
Parker's pretty iconic, though I haven't really read much of that stuff.
The Hunter was the first
Yeah.
and introduced Parker. So substitute Parker for Walker, and you basically have the first Parker novel. And I'm gonna kind of give you just the basic linear narrative here real quick, but then I want to come back and revisit it a little bit
because it isn't a linear movie, at least in the beginning.
The
first act.
The first time through was an entirely different experience than my second time watching it.
Right.
Because then I kind of realized it was a different movie than I realized I had been watching before. This is John Boorman's first film after his. It's technically his second directing job, but it's really his first
I forgot the name of that movie.
narrative directing movie, because the first one was just a Dave Clark 5 attempt at
that's the one. I know
copycat the Beatles. I can't even remember this. Don't Stop the Music or something like that.
Yeah. Shark Cinema covered that.
Yeah. So I almost don't even count it. It's almost like he kind of did it, and that opened the door for him to do this. And so this is a it's film noir top to bottom. It's full of greatly perfectly composed shots. There's influence of German cinema in the way that the angles are and the shadows come in. This movie could be black and white and it wouldn't miss anything.
You go back, Boorman's British, right?
Yeah.
Because I know Britain really isn't part of Europe. I mean, let's be real. People say it is, but it's not geographically part of Europe. But I think that movie Boorman made a movie that was very European in a lot of ways.
Very much. It's grounded in America because it's, it starts on Alcatraz Island, and and it's there in LA. But the basic plot, if we follow through, is we got a couple of career criminals. You got Walker and his partner, which is John Vernon,
Mal Reese.
Okay, and then his wife. I think it's his wife, maybe girlfriend, but I think it's his wife. Yeah, because there's a whole thing with the rings. Anyway, who's Lynn? Okay, so you got the three of them, and it turns out Alcatraz in the off hours is apparently like a drop-off point. A helicopter comes in, and we don't even know what they're exchanging, but I would assume it's drugs, that they're exchanging drugs for money on this helicopter, and the drop-off point is Alcatraz. So people will get there, they arrive, the helicopter drops, they exchange the drugs, they get the money, and the helicopter takes off, and they get on a boat and take back off from Alcatraz. That's the plan. In this case, Walker, who's with them, he gets double crossed. Good old fashioned crime movie. Gets double crossed. Turns out Mal has been having a thing with his wife, and so he shoots him twice in the belly in one of the empty cells at abandoned Alcatraz. And so they take off, and what they have apparently gotten away with is $93,000. At least that was going to be Walker's cut. At least I don't know if that's the total, but that was going to be his cut. And
he brings that up a lot.
Oh, he brings it up a whole lot. A very oddly specific, randomized, and arbitrary number, because it's not a round number.
It is a magical number.
It's not a huge number, but it is what he fixates on.
Right.
Okay, so they leave him for dead. And then there's a whole process of him stumbling out of the cell and getting out into the water outside of Alcatraz, and around the time, because he's got to get out of there before the tours start up in the morning, right? So he's out there on the bank on the side, and you can hear the tours starting behind him. That's how the movie starts, is kind of him making his way out to the water outside of Alcatraz, as we're hearing the loudspeaker as the tours are starting, explaining how Alcatraz was unbreakable, and explaining why is because of the water and the temperature in the water.
Clint Eastwood escaped though.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood did. So that's how we're getting it started, and then it's like a year later, and he's obviously healed up, and he's hooked up with a guy played by Keenan Wynn, who is obviously brought part of this criminal organization. I don't think they ever really name it. I think they just call it the organization. In the novel, it's the outfit. Either way,
but he doesn't think that's who he's with.
No,
we don't either.
Well, no, we don't. We know this guy is associated with it because he wants Walker to go and take these guys out.
But I got the impression that when I first watched it, he was law enforcement who was using Walker to kill his own. And then at the end, the twist is that he's not law enforcement. Oops.
I didn't get a sense that he was that, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a later sequence of in which he just is like disposing of a body and stuff like that. It's not the kind of thing that cops would generally do. I think maybe there's an implication that he might be CIA. If maybe you're thinking like that. I mean, because I
missed a lot the first time I watched
because it's so non-specific, you're having this idea that there's something about him.
He's a weird benefactor.
He just like shows up, he's in his suit, and he kind of just provides him with information and direction to do this stuff, right? So he's kind of he's kind of a the Deus ex machina from scene to scene, right? If he provides whatever direction or nudging that Walker needs to get where he's going. And so establishing a symbolism here, there's a lot of metaphor and stuff that happens, and even the name Walker is a metaphor if you think about it. In this entire movie, he spends a little bit of time in the car riding around with people, but mainly he's walking, and he's always moving forward, because this is on one level just a revenge movie, and in a revenge movie you're just looking for your next person to take revenge on. And so they even establish as he's going initially towards his first encounter, he's in that suit, Lee Marvin, 6 foot plus, and that looking just incredible. And he's just walking down this long hallway, and it's an extended shot just following him as he's going. Just the camera is right here in front of him, so we're just looking up at him, and he is just walking, and it's just walk, step, and you start to realize it's like the ticking of a clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way they mic it. Yeah.
Time is starting to tick. Okay. He's on a mission, and he gets, and when it cuts away from him walking and he's there at the apartment and stuff like that, that tick, 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 the sound of his feet, it's still tick, tick, ticking. So, you've got that kind of cool thing going on. So if you start noticing, you'll start to notice Walker, he's walking. And I thought that was kind of cool. Okay. I mean, I always wondered why you changed the name, and I think it was just metaphor. And, so he first goes and encounters his wife, and they have a bit of an encounter in her apartment. She has already been left by Mal. She's regretful. She, feels like it was a mistake. She's shocked that she thought he was dead all this time. And ultimately, she takes a bunch of pills and kills herself. And so now, in a sense, maybe Walker's got another thing he wants to have some payback on, right? Is now it's the death of his wife. But when he's there with her body and he confirms that she's dead, yeah, there's that point where he takes his wedding ring off and puts it on her hand on top of her wedding ring, like that. And that's what he leaves her behind like that. Okay, so then he goes and he's got information for a car salesman.
A funny scene.
Yeah, with Michael Strong as the car salesman, Stegman, who's got information that he can provide for him on how to find Mal, because he apparently does business with Mal. And it's a great scene in which Walker shows up to this Stegman's car lot, tells him, I want to take this car for a test drive, and they go for a test drive. Remember, this is 67. Walker makes sure he puts a seatbelt on, to which, of course, Stegman's like, you're not going to need to put that on. This car is safe. Yeah. Wait until you get in the car with Walker because he wants information and he gets by just slamming that car all over creation into everything. And I mean, his forehead's busted, his nose is busted, all of that. He gets all the information he needs, right? And so, yes, for the rest of the movie, when Stegman shows up, he's got, stuff up his nose and bandages and all that, all left over from his encounter with Walker, who's brutal. Okay, Mike Hammer and he would probably be good buddies.
Yep.
He takes great joy, it seems like, in exacting his brutal revenge on these guys. With Mal, he has a great encounter with that, and there's these flashbacks that happen that are out of the linear narrative. I think that's what you're thinking of, Henry. Is like there's like a flashback when the wife is talking to him of memories of when the three of them were still good together. And you see the hint of her maybe becoming somewhat attracted to Mal.
She said she kind of drifted toward him.
Yeah, like she's the shot is even cool because they're in a car and they're just laughing, they're having a great time, and there's Walker on one side and Mal is driving, and she's in between the two of them, and she winds up kind of sliding closer to Mal, in the course of the scene. And I thought, yeah, that's cool. And then with Mal, there's flashback scenes in which we see an event that we're not even ever given privy to what was all going on around it, but there was turmoil all around, lots of legs and loud stuff, and Mal is literally on top of Walker, holding his suit like that, and he's just like begging him to come along with him, and how he can trust him and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we know he can't trust him, right? If there's anybody you can trust, trust me, like that, all this kind of stuff. So we get to see that.
Never trust anybody who says you can trust.
You can trust me, right? If you've got to say it, right? There's a lot of scuffle and stuff because I forgot about this. Yeah, the way that he got Mal is pretty clever. He goes to his wife's sister and gets her to seduce Mal, to get Mal basically into a vulnerable position, so Walker can break into his penthouse while he's in bed naked, and she's repulsed by him, but she's willing to do it to get back at the guy who killed her sister, or caused her sister to kill herself. And so Walker has him in a very vulnerable spot, wrapped around with a blanket wrapped around him from the bed. And through a course of events, Mal winds up going over the edge of the penthouse balcony and splatters into the street. So
his towel could not hold him to save him.
No, and technically Walker didn't push him, but he also didn't try to grab him. It was one of those things where he kind of toppled back and Walker just sort of watched it and was like,
It's like
Um,
Batman Begins, where he says, I won't tell you, but
yes,
I won't save you either.
but yeah, and remember the whole time, all we're really getting, Walker doesn't talk a lot. He's a man of few words and a lot of action here. But yeah, what we do know, because he keeps saying it, is he just wants his 93,000. Nobody believes him when when he encounters Stegman. He's talking 93,000. He doesn't believe, he just wants 93,000. Why would you only want 93,000? Why wouldn't
I
you want
want my
100,000?
cut.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why wouldn't you want 100,000 or 150,000, or why is it this specific? But that's where he's at. It's like, that was my cut. That's what I want. And all of this other stuff, your life is not worth as much to me as that 93,000. It's kind of what he's saying. And so, but every time these guys, they just don't get it. They don't get that he's willing to kill you to get $93,000. So after Mal, who do we go to next? I think then we go to Lloyd Bachner's character, who's kind of he's an up and coming politician type. And again, as politicians are wont to do. And so this is kind of where some of the satire comes into play, because there is humor in these circumstances as well. Is, the politician type thinks, okay, and he's in bed with the organization, obviously. And, he kind of gives lip service to, yeah, okay, I'll give you the 93,000. So he engages Stegman, tells Stegman, here's the money. It's all packaged up nice and good. And he tells him where to go, which is like one of those LA sewer system type areas that you see like in Grease, and I think Buckaroo Banzai and many other movies where you drive cars or walk around. So it's a good set piece, probably cheap too.
It's a big what do they call it?
They called it, yeah, I think so. They called it the sewer line, in the movie. And so anyway, they get it so that he's supposed to meet him like at 2 PM or something like that, and pass off the money to Walker. Walker isn't stupid. So yeah, as soon as Stegman heads out like that, he goes in there and he beats up Bachner's character, and then drags him along with him in the car with himself. And then he goes to the same area where Stegman's standing out there with that bag of money, and he shoves Bachner's character out there in there, who immediately starts looking up and going, no, it's me. He gets shot. Because obviously he wasn't gonna give the money to Walker, right? And so he had a sniper hidden away who was gonna take out Walker, and then he also took out Stegman. So there's no witnesses either. So now Bachner's dead, Stegman's dead. Walker stays back in the shadows, so the sniper doesn't even know he's there, and waits long enough for the sniper to take off. And then he comes out there and checks the money. Of course, it's not really money. It was just cut up pieces of paper. So he just kicks it down the sewer line.
Stingy guys.
Yeah, I know. For $93,000, which is nothing to these people, right? So his next thing is, he's got to get information from our little spook or whatever he is, Keenan Wynn's character, and he directs him now to Carroll O'Connor's character's place. Okay, so he's a guy named Brewster. Let's just keep Brewster in mind. So Walker goes and breaks into Brewster's house because Brewster's out of town, and he knows he's coming back sometime either overnight or in the morning. So he breaks into Brewster's house, bringing Angie Dickinson along with him, so they can, of course, have a few moments together. And they do have an interesting moment at one point where she bashes him across the forehead with a pool stick, which makes him kind of loopy for a little bit. And they make out a little bit and, do what you do in a movie like this. And then in the morning, Brewster shows up.
Recurring theme in these crime movies.
Right. Yes, exactly. Right. And so Brewster shows up. Walker confronts him, wants 93,000, of course. Brewster says that ridiculous. Basically, he kind of tells him, "You're ridiculous. This is absurd. I mean, nobody has just $93,000 sitting around. The fact that you think I can put my hands on 93,000 is ridiculous." And Walker's kind of like, "Well, then who can?" And he tells him, and he finally kind of he lets Brewster realize, like, "Look, you don't give me anything, you're gone. I have no problem taking it out." So you can see, and a great performance by Carroll O'Connor, where it kind of all comes over him. He realizes, okay. And so he says, "It's not me. Fairfax. Fairfax is the guy. Fairfax is the guy. Fairfax is who handles all the money for the organization." So he makes him call Fairfax. Fairfax says, "I can't give you $92,000 in cash," which of course makes a terrified Brewster, like, Walker decides that, okay, then I'm going to take you, Brewster, and we're going to go see Fairfax. And so that's where we start getting things really running to the end, which it means we're going to the circumstances evolve so that to get the money, what Brewster says is, "Tell you what, we're going to be doing there's going to be another drop off at Alcatraz." So we're coming full circle, right? "Tell you what, why don't we go to Alcatraz and I'll do the drop off and you can just take the money. Whatever's in there, you can have it. It'll be at least 93,000. And it's like, all he wants is 93,000. And
That's all he wants.
Yeah, that's all he really wants. And so we do get that whole sequence where there's another drop off in the dark at Alcatraz. But this time, Walker is staying back in the shadows and watching it unfold. He's not a part of it. In a very, very cool, again, surrealistic type view with the shadows cutting through the face and all that. And yes, as soon as the exchange happens, a bullet or gun rings out and a bullet takes out Brewster. And that's when the guy Keenan Wynn has been playing all this time comes walking into the scene. Turns out he's Fairfax.
That was a hell of a twist.
Yeah. So he's Fairfax, and the sniper is the same guy that sniped back in LA. And the two of them are trying to call out Walker. He wants to make a deal. He wants Walker to work for him. It's like, he's like, "You took out all of my competitors and all this, and you have my enduring gratitude, and you can," all that. But Walker never responds. He never pops out where they can see him. Obviously Fairfax is getting very frustrated by that, but the two of them kind of finally go, throw their hands up and take off, and they leave the money behind for Walker. But we never see Walker again. That's how that movie ends. It just pulls on back in the dark shadows of Alcatraz, and that little bag of money is just sitting right there in a spotlight. Helicopter's gone, the people are gone, Brewster's dead body's there, and it just pulls on back out, and we never know what really happens. So a cool film noir movie hits all those points. Angie Dickinson fits the femme fatale for those purposes, if you're looking for it. First time through, I'm like, wow, this is a stylish film noir movie. Second time through, I go, wow, fuck, this is a Jacob's Ladder movie. Right. This dude's dead. This whole movie is dead. He's been dead. This is all in it. Do
you think that's what happened?
The second time through, I'm more and more convinced. I watched it again this week, and I saw watching it again, I'm like, yeah.
I didn't watch it all the way through, but I did hear that theory a few times.
Yeah, when he got shot, this is a Jacob's Ladder movie. This is his death throes fantasy of taking revenge on all the people that got him there. And there's a lot of key points on why I think that now. I haven't gone back and seen it, and I'll point just a couple of them. I think not a lot. I don't want to bore you, but when he crawls out into the water. And that narration happens. This is the very beginning of the movie, and that narration starts over with the tour guides talking about how inescapable Alcatraz is. he's getting into that freezing cold water with no boats, nothing around him, and with 2 shots to the gut. You don't really recover from shots to the gut unless you get like instant medical care, and even then it's hard because it's the gut.
It's a little bit unbelievable. You're saying that it was real, that it was all real. That it had to be part of his imagination.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And I'm thinking like that narration over the top about how it's inescapable, as we're supposed to now then, with no details, just expect that he somehow did. Now, you can fill in the blank if you want it to be a straightforward narrative and say Fairfax picked him up and took him back and gave him medical care, but we don't know. But it's things like that that start it. But then also there's another thing. When I watched it, even the first time I was confused about, but on the second and later viewings, and when I'm thinking in terms of a Jacob's Ladder scenario, I start seeing it. And there's like when he's in the apartment with his wife, and when he first walks in, the first thing he does, she's laying in bed, okay, and in the dark, and he walks in, and with no words, he just goes bang, 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 shoots the mattress around her, boom, 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 like he's expecting Mal to be there in that position. So that mattress forever has those busted gunshot shots right there on it. And then and she's laying there, and then they have their interaction. She comes back and lays back down and takes the pills, all that. Well, he then goes into the living room area and just sort of like sits there for a little bit, walks around, and then later and then again, without any evidence of time really passing, he opens up and looks out the window, and he sees Fairfax out there at a car, and he kind of gives him a thumbs up. And the next thing is him walking into that bedroom, and she's gone. And and her body is gone, and the mattress is all shot up still. And it just was kind of surreal. And again, if you want a straightforward narrative idea there, then obviously the implication is Fairfax came and cleaned up the scene. But it just seems odd how it happened. There was no indication that anything was going on. It's the kind of thing that happens in dreams,
Also, the way they shoot the thing where he shoots up the mattress, they do repeat the shot a few times, and
they do. And the way the
flashbacks. Is this the sort of movie that David Lynch would have been like? This is one of my favorite.
I will bet you David Lynch loves this movie. I haven't looked it up, but I haven't looked it up, but I would venture a guess that this is probably one of his favorite movies.
Borman is kind of, I don't know how else to put it. Borman is a motherfucker. I mean, he did Point Blank, he did Deliverance, he did Excalibur, he did Zardoz.
I love Excalibur.
Yeah, me too.
The best.
But
another one you can hardly find streaming ever.
Yeah,
you got to get that on disc like I did. But there's just little things like that throughout that just seem off. The flow of things, even the constant appearance of Fairfax is kind of like almost like a devil figure.
Yeah, it's kind of mystical.
Kind of keeps just popping up, like somebody might be popping up, almost like demonic figure in that way. Like, I'm helping you, but there's a demonic presence to it. And so I could be convinced either way, but I would be curious other people watch it first through just a straightforward narrative way, and then second time watch it through with the other way, because like even at the very end, that whole thing where once they arrived at Alcatraz, back where it all started, he backs up into the shadow, almost like Homer Simpson in the hedge, right? And he just kind of disappears into the shadow. I mean, we the last time we ever see him is just basically one eye looking through the shadow.
So them
as things
calling him
happen.
is also his imagination then.
Maybe, yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
There's
You know,
objective shots where he's not in frame. They're on a lot though. He's
Yeah.
pretty much almost in every shot.
yeah, until you get to that final scene, and
Yeah.
then he's not at all. It's like once we get there to Alcatraz with Brewster turns around and he's gone like Batman. He's up there. He's suddenly way up there. How do you get there? We don't know, but he's up there in the shadows.
He's an
and
action hero. Come on.
Yeah. Well, he's an action hero who doesn't do a lot in terms of like action, right? You know,
He's not flashy. But
like again, it's more of a Mike Hammerish type. You know, he's not going to go into like a big thing. He's going to pummel that guy with his fist or
Yeah, he's
whatever
gonna
he
get
can
him
get
one-on-one.
or whatever he can get his
Blood,
hands on. You know, that whole like again that whole thing with the car where he's just bashing it back and forth.
Yeah.
It's just a great scene. You know, that way, and it's reminiscent of like in Kiss Me Deadly when Mike is taking such joy in basically brutalizing these guys, right? But
FYI, Bill covered Kiss Me Deadly
Yes.
in our science fiction series, so check it out.
Anyway, that is Point Blank, and it is, I think, a seminal transition period type film noir detective crime movie. I think moving into that late 60s gritty 70s era.
Yeah, definitely.
And
yeah. You froze up for a second.
Anyway, I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. I don't think it's streaming. It might be, but I don't think it is. So
I've watched the Blu-ray bunch. I watched the DVD a lot. But I suggest everybody get on Blu-ray. It's actually pretty inexpensive right now.
Yeah.
But
and as I come to the end of this, let me just point out I gotta skedaddle. So if we're gonna keep going, I'll be bowing out after this.
Okay, that's cool. We'll miss you.
But this has been a good discussion. I like having this larger group.
Yeah. More interaction.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anyway, and nice to meet our new person, and I hope we'll see you around some more.
Mhm.
Oh, so lovely to see you.
Bye, guys.
All right, Katie. Talk to you soon.
Sorry.
Hi, you've been watching Deep Images. I'm Henry Covert, your host. This is Bergie Williams and C.F. Roberts, two of our most amazing panelists. And we've been talking about an incredible series here. We do these series sessions every so often. We break them into individual episodes. So we wanted to kind of give you a segue and let you know what you've just watched and what you can look forward to. So just want to remind you, thank you for watching. And please like and subscribe and support the channel any way you can. You guys have anything to say?
Yeah, like, subscribe, come back, see us. We don't bite. Type.
Do you like that? We like that. Let me tell you something. Leave some comments.
Hell yeah.
Leave something in chat. If you like us, talk to us. If you don't like us, talk to us. We want to hear from you.
All right. Y'all have a good evening. Thanks for watching.